was blind, but now I see. Good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon. This is Anthony Sadi at Men of Impact Radio. Oh, here in Corona, I've got one of my guests today. I actually have two guests today. It's really funny. One of them's only 20 minutes, and he's going to be on Yard Stream. But one of my guests is going to be here with me, helping out because my good friend Rohmon Merchant.
Hey.
And so. But we're going to be talking to Rohmon when we're done with Kiley. Kevin Kiley is coming on. He is a candidate in the California recall election that's coming up on Tuesday. Now, I've got some heat. I'm going to tell you right now, I got some heat because, and I agree, Jesus didn't have a party. He did not have a party. He did have thoughts and beliefs, and he did have things that coincided with what the Bible said. So, I don't like to mix my faith with politics because I really don't think it has a place.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I agree 100%.
Because Jesus didn't have politics, right?
No.
But he did speak out against things that he did not think were of God.
And those conversations were pointed more to the church than it was the government.
That's correct. More pointed towards the church, his church,
Mm-hmm.
than the government. That's correct. So, and that is how I firmly believe. I mean,
remember, the church had to force the government to kill him.
Yes,
because the government and Jesus were cool.
They were cool.
He
hadn't done anything.
He hadn't done anything.
So there you have it. Jesus in politics.
Yeah.
He wasn't in politics.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he basically told us that if they are,
you give Caesar what's Caesar's.
Give Caesar what is Caesar's, and if they are. They're put there by God. They're put in that position by God.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we agree with what they believe or their thoughts or anything, they are put in that position by God as an authority over us, and it is our job, of course, to do what the authorities tell us to do to an extent.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because Jesus did what the authorities told him to do to an extent.
Yep.
So there and. I believe that extent is not here.
Right.
Yeah. Right? And I want everybody to, and I don't want to give too much away, but so let me just tell you a little bit about, no. Let me check my email here because to see he's supposed to be coming on. I want to make sure something might be going on here. No. Where is he? This is not the right one. I'm sorry, guys, but this is trying to get the guest. Rohmon, we can talk to Rohmon. Rohmon's going to be staying afterwards anyways. So
that's right.
He was my guest. He was my guest today, and I just happened to run into this guy, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read a little bit about him, and his life so far is very impressive. And that's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk politics on my show. But he is running. I'm sorry. He is a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, all you can do is look up and say that. That doesn't mean anything about what I think. Doesn't mean anything about my opinion.
And also let people know we're not endorsing this man.
We're not endorsing this man. I am not endorsing this man, but he's a guy who's a man of done some things that have been impactful to our state. And
outside of politics.
Outside of politics, right. Outside of politics, he's done things to improve, right?
Yeah.
And some good things. And that's what I want to talk about. But if he doesn't show up, hello, I said sharp. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but just like a stinking politician. Just kidding. So, Men of Impact Radio, honestly, guys, I'm here for, and I've been talking about this a lot lately, is why am I here? And the reason that I'm here is I had made a mess of my life, and I had some men not judge me. Now, Jesus saved me. Let's not get it twisted. Jesus saved me. But I had some men in my life at a time when I could have easily lost track of Jesus, helped keep me in line, and keep going. So it's not sending this. Nope, he's still not here. Okay, so we're going to talk to Rohmon and hope he logs in. And I think it's still sending. Nope. Hello, 3:30 sharp. "20-minute interview sent." Okay, it just sent.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens if I get a response or if he logs in. My engineers are telling me he's not there, but he only had 20 minutes for us today, anyways. He may have read some
Some of the comments. Yeah.
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. I read some of the comments too. I was like, ooh. And I was like, oh well.
Without, and I want to give a little shout out there to Mike Miller for having some faith in me. And knowing that I would take this spiritual, because quite honestly, I have everybody. What happened there? Nothing. Okay. Because that's what it's all about to me, man. I don't listen. The truth of the matter, if we're going to talk about opinions about politics, to me, is that there's no place for Jesus in it, and they're all at fault. And nobody's telling the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yeah.
I don't care who they are.
Yep.
Even and this guy has done some good things, and he hasn't taken money from any special interest groups. So those are good things as far as public servants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not here, he's not here.
Yeah.
And then there we are.
Yep.
Right back at square one. I would have liked to have had him, but it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, I want to make it perfectly clear before, whether he comes or not, I was going to have a governor candidate here. Yes. Just so everybody knows, I did send Governor Newsom an invite to join us. I got no response. So, which is basically the response I'm getting now from Mr. Kiley. But on that note, I sent that just because we weren't going to talk politics. I just want to talk about the man. And that's what we're here for, making positive impacts on people around you, your family and your friends, and reading up on this guy. He's made a lot of positive impacts. So I'm not going to get discouraged, a little nervous, but listen, some of you guys out there, you got to have a little faith, man, that I'm not going to sell out.
Yeah.
Especially not Jesus. That's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're going to be completely honest, the Christians out there, the Christian Republicans, the Christian Democrats, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fighting against each other all the time, judging this side, judging that side, this side being ugly with that side. And quite honestly, it doesn't matter who wins, I pray.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
That's it.
Yep.
I don't care who wins.
Yep.
If it's the guy I vote for, I'm praying for him to move towards God, move towards God, move towards God.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the guy I don't vote for, it's move towards God, move towards God. I pray for the president. I pray for the governor every morning with a bunch of my guys.
Mm-hmm.
We pray for leaders all around the world. So
yeah,
that's our job as a Christian.
Yeah.
And Christian, let's be realistic. If you really think it's the politicians that got us here, it ain't.
No.
It's the church.
Yeah.
And who's the church?
Us.
It ain't no stinking building down on the corner, brother.
No.
So it's a church that's got us into this point.
Yeah.
Right. If we just stood up for what we're supposed to stand up for, then we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be having these craziness. And the other thing is, public servants would be making the money they should be making,
mm-hmm.
and not making stupid amounts of money.
Stupid money. Had me thinking about being a public servant for a minute. I was like, wow.
Right.
I think I can do this job.
Right. The unfortunate part for us, Rohmon, would be that we don't have $60 million to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. If we're going to talk about that, I mean, if the only way to get $60 million is to ask for other people.
Yeah, you're going to need people to support you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Special interest groups.
And when that happens, you got to get in bed with some of these people. And then we're going to give you $1 million, but you got to turn your head when this happens. I can't. Yeah.
Don't think that ain't happening, right?
Yeah. It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah. And it ain't $1 million.
It's 10 million. There's people I'm pretty sure we could pay this whole 60 million to get you on the ballot. but there's something coming that we need your vote on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I don't care who you are. Turning down $60 million, I'm not sure it's even possible.
I'll tell you what, it happens in entertainment all the time.
Yeah.
People think that Best Picture is the one that's the best picture. No, those are bought out awards. They're buying out those awards. Best Picture, Best Actor. Those are production companies going to voters and saying, "You like The Hurt Locker, right?" That's what that is.
And guys, just so you know, Rohmon's speaking from some experience.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh yeah.
He's been in the entertainment business for
20 years plus.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's seen it. He's seen the backroom deals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, it could very well be that he didn't show up because of some of the posts on Facebook, that he didn't know how it was going to go.
Or he maybe, there's so many different things. He could have meant to go and something happened, and, he is 4 days away from an election.
He is 4 days away from an election.
Yeah.
And again, we in no way endorse this person.
No. I had to look up on him 20 minutes ago.
Right. And I didn't know about him until I met him at he was down here at Tom's Farms, and I met him, and then I found out some of the things that he had done. I just want to touch on one thing, because I think that's what politicians should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a privately owned DMV in Sacramento that serviced only state legislators, their staff, and family members. The public was not allowed to go there.
Mm-hmm.
He legislated against that, got it shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, because we are for the people.
Yeah.
We don't get special privileges.
Yeah.
That's something that impressed me about him. He did that. That's not politics. That's legislation.
Yeah.
That's an attorney doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often either.
No. and I also want to add my piece. I Googled him 5 minutes before the show because I've never heard of him. And the first news thing was it literally 5 minutes ago when I Googled it, 5 minutes ago, a news coverage of him showed up, and I was like, oh man, please don't let it be back. Clicked it. He was out in the streets today in LA picking up trash. That was the news article. So I'm like, oh, he serves. Okay.
So that was really the whole basis of that. It was just to introduce him to, we didn't know him. We never heard of him. So maybe just introduce him. You can see him as who he is as a man, and make your own judgment.
Make your own choice.
Excuse me. Because again, I repeat, it doesn't matter who wins.
Yeah.
Yes, I will vote.
Yeah.
And I will have my vote. And I'm not telling anybody what that vote is.
Me too.
But yes, whoever wins, come Wednesday morning at 6:30 a.m. on a Zoom. If you need the link, let me know. I'll send it to you. If you're a guy. Oh, there he is.
Hey there. How's it going?
Hey, Kevin. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. My apologies for joining you late here.
No worries, man. We were just chatting, talking to my audience. It's good to have you. I figured you were busy. I know that, the election is coming up, and I know that you've got lots of dates to go, and I just appreciate that you were able to give us 20 minutes.
Of course. Yeah, my pleasure. And thanks for having me.
And this is, to put it lightly, this can be very touchy for me. Because of kind of what the radio is. So really what I want to do is just introduce you to some of the people, because honestly, Kevin, I had never heard of you until I saw you Saturday. My buddy Rohmon here hadn't heard of Kevin Kiley until 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to talk about is you, not necessarily, I don't want to talk about politics so much. He's running for governor. But I think that there's some things that I've read about you. I was just talking about the DMV. The private DMV that you got shut down. And I think that's what a job of a public servant is. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Your schooling, if married, kids, I don't know anything about you. And I just want my audience to know about you so that they can make their own decision about a guy they may not have heard of. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. So absolutely. I grew up in California in the district that I represent now. It's a little east of Sacramento. I grew up in a community called Granite Bay, and Orangevale was when I was younger, and went to local public schools. I graduated from high school in 2003. I then went to college back east, and after that, I returned to California. I was a high school teacher for a time. I worked as teaching 10th grade English in inner city Los Angeles. And then I went to law school and was an attorney in private practice before working as a prosecutor for the state. And then I eventually, in 2016, actually 2015, got started, with this run for my first run for public office for the state assembly. And I was elected that year and have been reelected twice since. And now I'm in the race to replace Gavin Newsom as governor.
And that's pretty modest because pretty humble because those educations were.
He skimmed over them. Yeah, he skimmed. He didn't want to let us know where he went to school. He was I went to school
back east. Yeah,
east.
That's commendable, right?
Yeah.
Harvard, Yale, and Loyola. Yeah.
We Googled you, bro.
All right. Fair enough.
That's awesome, though. But I appreciate that. I mean, that's humble that you mentioned that. But that's pretty impressive. And so I was very impressed with a few things. You prosecuted. I don't know if prosecuted is the word. See, I'm not a professional here. I'm not even going to lie to you, Kevin. I appreciate your time. But prosecute or legislated against Hawaii. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. The Chinese Hawaii company.
Huawei.
Huawei. And you won, right?
Well, yeah, that was a case. It went on for some time, and there was a settlement. But that was later. It was kind of used by the federal government as the basis for their investigation into Huawei and their sort of intellectual property theft and other violations against the United States.
So you're the one that shined the light on that was going on, so that there could be further. Is that what it is?
Yeah, our lawsuit that we filed ended up being the basis for that. Exactly.
And then I read about the DMV up there. Tell me just how did that get on your radar, and how did you decide that was just because a regular person knows that that's just not right.
It's not right. There's a DMV office in an unmarked room right across from the Capitol where legislators can go and get, streamlined service. It's not available to the general public. And I think that's right. I'm totally against perks for legislators or for politicians, because then they don't have to live with the consequences of their own failed policies. At this time, when I proposed the DMV, it's always bad, but it was there were, with the Real ID and other thing going on, people were going there and waiting all day just to be seen. They go with an appointment and would wait hours. And then meanwhile, politicians are just in and out at this private DMV office. So I didn't think that was right. So I introduced a bill to shut it down, or at least to make it open to the general public. But of course that went nowhere.
It didn't go anywhere?
No.
Of course. Okay. So it didn't get shut down, and it's not open to the general public.
That's right.
But thank you so much for trying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that maybe that's the inner workings that I'd really. There's a lot of questions that I'd like to ask about politics that I just don't figure can be answered. But what is that? How is it that something like that went nowhere? I don't understand. I guess, is there anything that you can help me with that to understand? Does that make sense? Am I making sense with that?
Yeah.
Well, they just, those in charge of the legislature, the leadership didn't want it closed. They wanted to be open. They like the perk. And so, they just decided to ignore the bill.
Wow. And I guess that's kind of the state it's in right now. And that's kind of where we're at. And it's just so frustrating sometimes from a constituent's point of view as to why it's so hard to work together for the good of the people, and why there's so much distance between the two parties at this time.
Yeah. Can I ask him a question?
Yes.
So I have a question. Because you mentioned, Anthony, the division between the people. California, we were talking before the show, and we were talking about how California started with so much diversity. It was founded on diversity, and now is like that diversity has been turned against us, and now we are separated. We're separated by political affiliation. We're celebrated by race. We're celebrated by wealth now. Like, in your opinion, it's a two-part question. Where do you think this comes from, and how do you think we can overcome this moving forward?
Well, that's a good question. And I think that, a lot of it is just kind of the cynicism of politics and some of our political leaders, particularly in California, who have, tried to divide us in every way possible. Gavin Newsom, in particular, during this recall, has run an incredibly divisive campaign, whereas the movement for the recall has been incredibly inclusive, has welcomed people of all backgrounds, whatever your political preference is. It's been a movement of the people, all of the people. And so, I think that is, a starting point for trying to overcome the division and the strife that has become all too typical of politics these days, is to try to, really find common ground where you can, and try to bring people together around shared principles, like the idea that we should have integrity in our government, or that we should have a government that actually serves the people of our state.
Do you believe that there's a major distrust in government officials, and do you think we could ever get back to a point where we have trust in them?
Well, I do think there is, and I think with good reason. We have a lot of people in government who are untrustworthy. Gavin Newsom is untrustworthy. He has used the power trusted in him and abused it for personal political gain. So I think that the way we can restore trust is by electing people who take their oath seriously, and by allowing, a greater measure of public access and accountability, so that people feel like they have a direct hand in decisions. When people feel like they have a say, they may not get their way every time, but at least, then they trust the process, they trust the outcomes, they understand, they see the entire system as operating fairly. But when people feel disenfranchised and excluded and ignored and silenced, that's when distrust grows.
Okay, so as voters, right, and how, because part of the problem is that, just it is what it is. A lot of people lie. A lot of politicians lie, just flat out lie. So how are we to know who to trust? How are we to know that we're electing that right official? What can we do as a people to make sure that we are? Well, I don't know, because at one point it's just going to be it's going to be some faith involved,
right? Well, I think that, obviously you want to do your research and take every opportunity you can to actually interact with someone, and go to, a public appearance, or try to find a way to meet them, interact with them personally. But also then don't stop, once they're in office, continue to watch what they do, to provide your own, input where you can, and then to hold them accountable for their actions.
And I guess that's a start. It's just so tough, especially with all the divisiveness that's going on, and it's just across the country and in this state, and it's just so sad to see sometimes that human beings can't work together.
Right.
And what is it that what are some of the steps you're taking to be able to work with, quote unquote, the other side, for lack of a better way?
Well, I mean, my view has always been to try to find common ground where you can. So if someone disagrees with you 99% of the time, then you should find that 1% area of commonality. And so that's what I did as a new member of the legislature when I first got here 5 years ago. Is I, met with every single person in the legislature and tried to find some common ground. And I have indeed authored successful legislation, bipartisan legislation, that's been signed into law on some pretty, groundbreaking policies. That being said, I think that you have to understand that when we have a system that has become as corrupted as ours has, that approach can only get you so far. You also need to bring, pressure to bear in order to induce action, which is what I think the recall here is doing, is bringing a different element, kind of exogenous to the legislative process itself, to bear, and to apply that pressure of direct public input and the people exerting kind of our sovereign power to reclaim our government and using that to induce action when it comes to, the big problems that have been only growing in our state.
Growing in our state, yes. Okay. And going forward, and just here's I'm just going to, whoever wins, again, I pray.
Yeah.
I pray for whoever wins that they turn towards God, because I certainly don't blame the politicians for where we got. Quite honestly, I blame the church. That's where I'm at. And I just want to make that clear, is where we're at. The politicians didn't get here. The church let the politicians get here. And that's how we got here. It's the people that got us here. And now we need to do something. So what can we do? What can we do? I mean, just elect better officials can't be the only answer for us as a people. We have to take some grassroots actions too. And it just seems to be getting further and further away.
Sure. Well, I mean, the first and most immediate thing is to make sure to vote in the recall and make sure to get your friends and family and colleagues to do the same, because this, I think, is, really a golden opportunity to bring big change. But even if the recall is successful, or if it's not successful, it's going to remain important to keep this movement growing and to keep people engaged and involved. And, you see right now across the state, people who have never been involved before are part of the recall or showing up at school board meetings, showing up at boards of supervisor meetings. I think that kind of like active citizen engagement is ultimately what we need in order to have a government that is more accountable to the people. And so I would just, say that continue to look for opportunities like that to engage, and we need to create more opportunities as well. You have a lot of different groups that are springing up, like, some of these Moms for Liberty groups, or the Let Them Play, Let Them Breathe, Reopen California Schools. These are all very powerful, grassroots sort of movements unto themselves that have sprung up and, are bringing people together and kind of creating a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts, and giving each person a kind of an amplified voice. And so that, I think, is kind of the energy that we need to build upon. And that's going to be true regardless of what happens next Tuesday.
Exactly. Regardless of what happens next Tuesday. That's what I'm saying. I got to pray regardless. It doesn't matter. I pray every morning for our government now that they turn towards Jesus. So now let me ask you this. It's just a straightforward question. Okay. Because I've always said that, a lot of promises are made, but when you get there, it's got to be a different job. First of all, that is a tough job, bro. Being in politics is a tough gig, no matter who you are, at what level. I can't even imagine it, because there's a lot of money involved. Number one, there's a lot of money involved, and that's a lot of flesh, a lot of money. We were just talking about it. If somebody walks up with tens of millions of dollars, what could you just tell the people how they can have some confidence that security, if you got elected, the money's not going to corrupt you? Because I'm sure at governor, the money's different. The power's different than at state assembly. And then if you go even higher, and the other question is, do you have future plans if you win or if you don't win? And not if you're a governor, not if you're the governor. Obviously, your future plan is to be the governor. But I'm just saying, are your plans to try again if you don't, to move forward, or state assembly, your gig?
Well, I haven't really thought past next Tuesday, because all of my energy right now is focused on that and getting a good outcome there. And we have just a few days here that could make all the difference. So, we'll see what happens and then cross that bridge when we come to it. But and as far as money goes, I'm the only legislator in the state who refuses all funding from special interests. I got into the Capitol, I got into the legislature, and saw how corrupting that was, and made the voluntary decision to forego hundreds of thousands of dollars per election cycle now. That is, just sort of put automatically into the bank account of legislators because they're a legislator. And so I think that is, maybe the most important change we can make to our political culture is to get elected officials who, have taken the step that I have, which is to be entirely 100% backed by citizens.
And I think that's the way it should be. Because I mean, it's difficult for somebody to, if they've got $1 million budget for an election, to beat a guy with $100 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not even sure how that can be done.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
I mean, it's one of the big problems, but I think that, we're building a model of citizen-based representation. And when you have a grassroots campaign, that can overcome big spending.
And I guess it can. I guess it can. And I more power to you, brother, for believing that. Keep the faith. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping the faith for you on that one, because honestly,
Thank you.
to me, if you can't take the money out of it, you're not going to take all the corruption out. You're just not, right? We're made of spirit and flesh. We're made of spirit and flesh, and unfortunately, the spirit may be willing, but the flesh is strong, right? So that, more power to you, man, that you did that, and keep going forward with that. And I hope to see more politicians doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just difficult right now. It's an all-time low of confidence in the government. And really, it's kind of funny, because that's not exactly true, is it? Because if it was,
we wouldn't vote.
Right. Or certain people wouldn't be in office, because there are people that 100% trust the government. They're hoping that the government's going to save them. Let me ask you that. Can the government save us, or do we have to save ourselves, Kevin?
Well, we're supposed to be the government. The government is supposed to be the people. And so, that is our prerogative. That's our right in a democratic society and in this country. But that's not what we have now. We have a government that has set itself apart from the people. And so, it's up to us to reclaim it. And that's what we're doing right now.
Hallelujah, brother. Hallelujah. And, I hope you got some guys on your team, and, we build the people out here. You build the people in there.
Yeah.
It's just I can't even imagine, somebody that, that seems to have, I can't even imagine. It's a tough job. That's all I'm saying. I don't want your job. I mean, if they handed it to me tomorrow, I don't want your job.
Well, you're doing your part as well. And so I thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience and to, share some of my vision for the state, which I think, has been really just informed by the vision that's shared for so many people who have been working tirelessly for the last several months. So I just say, please continue doing what you're doing to get the word out, and everyone who's listening, please make sure to, get your ballot in, and then more importantly, remain involved in this, great American tradition of self-government that we're trying to renew.
Self-government. We got to get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I like
that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I didn't even look at my clock when time you got here, but I know you're pressed for time, Kevin. But so you let me know. Okay, because I can talk forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate the chance to join you, and please do stay in touch, and we'll hopefully have something to celebrate here in a few days.
Yes.
And if we don't, I'm still praying for you. That I'm praying for whoever's there. B, praying for you and your efforts to unite what seems to me the government, because we can unite the people, but unfortunately the politicians have got to unite the government.
Yeah.
Assemblyman, if people want to get to know more about you, we're 4 days away.
Yeah. Well, that's you got 4 days left to make up your mind. So if you can go to KileyforCalifornia.com, I'm Kevin Kiley, and my last name is Kiley. So it's KileyforCalifornia.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And again, Kevin, keep up the good fight. And, you seem to be, some of the things that you've done are very, they make my heart warm. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. That's good to hear. Well, thank you very much.
You have a great day, brother.
All right. You too. Take care.
Good luck. Bye. Okay. And again, we do not in any way, shape, or form endorse that candidate.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Just thought that people should know who's out there running.
Yes.
And if you like Governor Newsom, get out and vote.
You need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't like Governor Newsom, get out and vote.
You
man.
need to.
Yeah, you need to.
You need to.
Everybody needs to. I mean,
Mhm.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with me that each one of them needs to consult God for every decision, well, then you might be part of the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had one of the, I don't know if you saw one of the comments. It's my country, not your church.
I saw that.
I don't even know what that
I
means.
don't know what that meant.
I don't know what that means.
I looked at it and I was like, it's a cool meme, I guess, but
What does it mean?
what does it mean? I was lost. That's when I checked out. I was like, okay, this is getting too deep for me because I can't figure that out. So
And I had a friend of mine, another guy asked him, what does that even mean?
I saw that. I saw your friend. What does that mean?
What
And
does that mean?
I don't know.
It's my country, not your church.
Not
so,
your-
so it's not my country and it's not your church? Or...
I don't get it. I was so lost. And I was like, okay. Okay. Thanks for that information.
But hey, that was fun.
Yeah.
And it was nice. And people got to meet another candidate. And again, like I said,
Out of the 46 candidates we have to choose from.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? If I'd have known that this was something I'd have had all 46.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd have Gavin Newsom. All of them. I welcome all of them because, quite honestly, in my the truth of the matter, and I know you agree,
Mhm.
they're all children of God.
Yeah.
You're just either lost,
Yeah,
or saved.
Yeah. That's all it is.
It's not up to me to make that decision. It's only up to me to love.
Yeah.
Pray.
Yeah. And I've seen God work through lost people.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
I've seen God move. I've seen God move through people where I never thought.
Right.
I'm like, I don't think they know that. I don't think they know that they're hearing from God.
They don't.
They don't know.
They have no idea.
No.
They don't change.
They don't change.
They just, the message gets delivered without them even knowing.
And they don't even know where it's coming from.
Right.
I've even had people tell you, I don't know where this is coming from, but I feel like I should give you this check. And I'd be like, oh, okay. I know who it comes
I
from.
know where it's coming from.
I know. So I, yeah.
So, I had, and I'm not going to, my group on Saturday mornings. And of course, there's some touchy subjects, and politics is a touchy thing that I don't talk. You can look at my, profile. There's no politics.
Mine either.
I don't like political posts.
Mhm.
I don't dislike political posts. Here's what I do. Crazy concept. I know.
It's crazy. I already know where you're going.
I just scroll right on by.
Scroll past.
Scroll right on by.
I tell people that there's this gift I have. It's called the scroll pass. If I don't like it, scroll right on past. It's the simplest movement. Just scroll past.
Just scroll on past.
Yeah, scroll on past. I am the master of the scroll pass. Even in my own page, some of my comments, I'm like, oh, scroll past. Actually, I delete. If it's on my page. But yeah, I'm the same way. I don't talk about politics. If I will say this, if a politician says something that's amusing and makes me laugh out loud, I will say something.
Yes.
Like I think the only Trump post I posted was when he was talking about the president of Puerto Rico. And I was like, I spoke with the president of Puerto Rico. I was like, wait, you're the president of Puerto Rico. So I found that was amusing.
Yeah. So
but only things like that.
Right.
If it's more, but I'm not policies and all that stuff. Like I'm still old school, right? I'm in the middle ground. I'm now a millennial and I'm not a boomer. I'm an X.
Right.
I'm a Generation X. And growing up as a Generation X guy, we were taught you don't talk about politics. People don't tell each other who I'm voting for.
Yeah.
It was just kind of unheard of. Even now, people's like, well, who you voting for? I said, ugh. I don't know if I want to tell you. It's
not. Well, now it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
On either side. That's
either
the crazy
side.
part.
Yeah. Oh, you're voting for that person? And in my head, here's the truth. I don't know who I'm voting for yet. There's 46 candidates, so it's like, it's a game time decision for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I have no idea what listen, we're not talking about politics, but, and I think that votes should be private, but,
me too.
But the problem is that it's now getting dangerous, and that shouldn't be. Maybe part of the problem that we're having today is, two of the things that they always told us you don't talk about: politics, religion.
Yeah.
Here we are talking about
Politics and religion.
But you don't talk about politics and religion. Well, maybe some of the problems that we're having today is because nobody ever talked about politics and religion.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Responsibly.
Yeah. Constructively.
Yeah. You believe your way, I believe my way. I don't need you to believe my way, so why try and change your opinion?
Yeah.
If you'd like to give me your opinion, I'll listen. If you'd like to listen to mine, I'll tell it.
Mhm.
If you don't want to listen to mine, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, brother.
Yeah.
You're still a child of God, and I hope that whatever. I hope that you get to heaven. That's all.
And the thing is, I've learned through the years, if the conversation doesn't bring value, why have it?
That's right. If it's not edifying,
Why have it?
That's right.
I can't. And one thing I will say that I know for a fact is there's no growth if there's no challenge. So if I'm just around conservative people and we just sit around the table and talk about how bad Biden's screwing up the country, when do I expect to grow if no one's going to challenge me? Right? Like, you have to have a sense of, there's got to be something that's challenged you. Right. And I think that's one of the things that I live by. Like, God's brought me through different groups of people where every thought that I've had has been challenged. And it's made me go, I wonder if I believe that. Let me double check. Let me go back to God. Let me go back to his word to see, do I truly stand on this? Or is this something that I just picked up through my culture?
Right.
Like we were talking earlier about the guy carrying the gun in McDonald's. Like, that was totally out of my culture.
Yeah.
And it challenged me. And I'm like, what is this? This guy's robbing McDonald's. And he didn't even reach for the gun. But in my culture, you walk into McDonald's with a gun, either we're all dying or we're all going to get broke.
Right.
You came to break us. And somebody had to teach me, like, no, in this culture, this happens. And I'm like, oh. And that challenged a whole nother level of thinking. And people don't like to challenge the level of thinking because, the way they brought up got them here.
Right.
And so I tell people all the time, I tell people who work with me all the time to listen, because I have people on my set. I got Democrats, I got Republicans, I have pro-lifers, I have pro-choicers, and they're all in the same room. And I overhear, because it's become a thing to talk about it. So I overhear the conversation and I wait to see if the conversation gets bad. And it never has gotten bad. Praise the Lord. But I have made statements saying, listen, that person's saying what they say because they have an upbringing that brought them here.
Right.
It's not to make them wrong. They just have a life growing up. Their parents taught them something. Their life experiences brought them here. We can't expect them to know your life experiences through their life experiences.
That's right.
I pastored in Oregon for a while. And I remember being in Oregon and the kids were like, I've never seen a black person before. I was the first black person they've seen. And I brought my whole black staff with me. And so these are street kids, like, yeah, we're going to help these kids in Oregon. And so it was like, can you imagine the culture of Oregon, where it was like almost Hicktown, no black people. I remember our first year, someone wrote the N-word, said, get out N-word on our church doors.
For real?
Yes.
Wow.
And
this is, I mean,
yeah,
we're not in that century anymore, people.
Yeah. This is 2006, maybe 2007. But it was like, I had to show them both sides. This is two different cultures colliding. You can't expect them to understand you. And you can't understand them until you sit down and actually have a healthy conversation when it's speaking and listening.
And I think that's the biggest thing, because, I mean, this is America.
Mm-hmm.
Internet,
mm-hmm.
TV.
Yes.
Everything. Yes. Everybody knows. Everybody's been told. Everybody knows this stuff is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We have been taught this in a logical sense, that racism, prejudice of any kind, hate.
Mhm.
This is all wrong.
Mhm.
And yet here we are, deeper in all of it
It's deeper.
than
Yeah.
we've ever been.
Yeah. Yeah. And imagine during that time when I was there, I think maybe the first or second year, I have a staff of 7 black people and 1 white guy who's struggling with homosexuality. And then I have a group of kids, all white hit kids from the countryside with Confederate flags on their trucks. And so I have these 2 groups that I have to lead and bring together. In the same year, it was an election year. And guess who was running for president? Barack Hussein Obama. And his candidate he was running against was John McCain.
Right.
Man, that was so rough because I was like, okay, I understand what Obama brings to the table as a side of a black man running for this office. But man, that was tough. All these kids was like, my parents said that Obama's this, and all the black kids. My mom said McCain is the. It was rough, but we actually got through it very healthy. I think we only had one really big issue, and it didn't come from neither one of these groups. It came from a minister from outside of our church coming into our church, and he, from the pulpit, told the congregation who to vote for. And by this time, we had reached out to the Latin community, and they were bringing their people to our church. So I had blacks, Latins, and whites, and this man walks in the door and says, if you vote for, I'm just going to quote what he said. He said, you vote for Obama, you're voting for Satan.
Wow.
Man, that the conversation that night, and I told the pastor, my pastor was mad at me because I couldn't stifle the conversation that night. So I couldn't. We brought in somebody, a big name. He's a big name pastor. And he came in and man. And I just thought that through, and I was like, that can't be the way to go about this.
That can't be the way to go about it.
It can't be.
It can't be.
Yeah. I didn't want to get on that tangent. We're not talking about politics, but
Yeah.
It happens.
It happens. So, and in the end, Jesus never said that stuff.
No, he didn't. He said, give Caesar's what Caesar's.
That's it. He just said that. I mean, it's just, but he did. And here's where it is, people. Here's where it is. Here's where I'm at. Here's where we need to be at as believers. He did jack up the church.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
That's what he did.
Every time he had a conversation, he pointed out the individual who was fussing struggle. What are you going to do to fix this? No, what are you going to do to fix you?
Yeah. What are you going to do to fix you, bro?
Yeah.
Because that's really all that's wrong. I mean, honestly, if you're having these feelings of hate and distrust and towards your fellow man because he has a different political party or religious background than you, then you're the problem.
It's his problem.
It's his problem.
I'm not the problem. That person's the problem.
That's correct. Right? So look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Everybody's so educated. Everybody knows so much. Everybody's so freaking smart. And the other guy's so freaking dumb.
It's funny because everyone's so smart. I remember school. I remember how we treated it. I remember how public education went.
Yeah.
And I remember how we ditched science. I remember how we ditched economics and government and econ. And I remember on my show, Epic Thoughts, I fought 40 people and explained to them. I had to Google to them what impeachment meant. Because everyone said, yes, we're impeached, Trump, he's out. I said, that impeachment doesn't mean he's out.
No.
I had to explain to them what impeachment meant. No. When you impeach a president, that means he's gone. I said, bro, you clearly skipped the day when they talked about it in government. I remember that day. I remember the test question. What does impeachment mean? It means accusation. I had to show them in Google. I had to show them through Google. And I'm like, if you're going to make this kind of mistake to not understand the terms that they're using, what makes you think you understand what's going on? Focus on what God called you to do.
That's it. Right?
There's always going to be a different president. There's always going to be a candidate that you don't like. There's always going to be somebody. The whole power behind God blessing people is how they can function through life, not even depending on who the king is.
Right. Regardless of who the king is.
Regardless of who the
How
king
can
is.
you function?
Daniel sat under, I think it was 7 different kings.
Something like that, right?
Something.
Yeah,
It was something.
A
It was
lot.
a lot of different kings.
Yeah.
And remember when there was a new king in that time, the old court gets thrown out.
Thrown out. Usually beheaded.
Yeah, normally killed.
Yeah.
Normally killed.
Yeah.
And Daniel survived 7?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you there was a king that Daniel didn't like.
Guaranteed.
A policy he didn't like.
And there was kings that didn't like him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they were like, you know what? I don't like him. He don't like me. But you know what? He does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And God, because of that, I believe God honored Daniel.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand what it's like when God honors you. And being, I'm not talking about, to an extent, right? But I'm going to pray for any president that we get. And we've sat under the presidents, and some of them were a joke to me. Some presidents I didn't like. Some presidents had to win me over.
Yeah.
There's many times I voted and I woke up the next morning. I was like, who won? Oh my man. But I remember God gave me a gift. God gave me a purpose. And I said, you know what? There's not a president in the world that's going to change God's purpose for my life.
That's right.
And God honors that.
And I think he honors if you're praying for those people. There's got to be intercessory prayer. Listen, I don't care if it's your candidate and you think he is God sent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you think he doesn't need prayer, that's when he needs prayer.
He needs prayer.
All the time.
Yes.
These guys, it's a terrible job.
Yeah. I think people need to learn how to sit underneath someone that they don't agree with.
Yeah. All the time.
We're taught in this society now that, if I don't like my pastor, I can leave that church. If I don't like my boss, I could go get another
Just
job.
go leave.
Yeah. But it's a good challenge to have, to sit underneath somebody you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that very early. I was put underneath a woman, and it has nothing to do with her being a woman, but she was a woman. She was my leader, and she was mean. She was so mean. She would ground you. Like, I was a backup dancer for a rapper, and our manager was a woman, and she was mean, and she was talented, but she was mean to me a lot. And she would ground me. I'd be on tour just sitting in the backstage, and she just grounded me. I couldn't do anything. And I didn't argue it. She was like a what do they call those people? Where they have to know everything. There's a word for them. I can't think of the word, but she would call my hotel room to make sure I was asleep, that I was in bed. Then she would call to make sure I woke up. Then she would call to make sure I ate. Everybody. And it was like, and at the dinner table, don't make that joke. Don't talk about this. I just did not like her. And I was reading the scriptures, and I felt God was like, you just love on her. You love on her, and you do everything she asks you to do. And I would wash her car for her. I would notice that her car was dirty. And I'd be like, hey, Ree, your car is dirty. You want me to take it to the car wash real quick? And she'd be like, yeah, sure. And hand me the keys. I wash the car for her. While she had me grounded, I just sit and I would watch her choreography, and I ask questions. Sometimes I would just stay out of her way, just be in the corner, but I would show up to practice because that was part of her deal. You get grounded, you still got to come to practice. I come to practice and I would just watch, and I was dead quiet. I didn't interrupt. I didn't fight her. I didn't say you're wrong. And man, at the end of it all, we became friends. And I remember one day, I served her so much, Anthony, the team thought I was dating her.
Right.
I'm bringing her breakfast. I'm like, I got you your bagel and your coffee. I know how you like your coffee. And I just felt this ultimate need to just serve. And I didn't like her. And man, what God honored through that relationship was huge. And it wasn't in real time. It didn't happen immediately.
Of course.
It came later. And God brought that relationship full circle. Now we're good friends. However, man, people need to learn. I think people need to understand what it's like to sit underneath somebody you don't like.
And sit in it.
Sit in it.
Not
bucket.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, the thing now. I mean, just a little thing when my kids were young, the first time someone told me, one of my kids came to me and said, well, the teacher didn't teach me that. And so I don't know. How could I possibly know? Because she didn't teach me that. She's mean. I said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
let me show you. And I taught him. And I was like, no, she taught you, or it's in the book.
It's in the book.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I had to show him that, right? But I remember one of them coming to me one time. She's mean. I don't like her. Blah blah blah. I want to change class. I said, nope.
Yeah. You stay in that class.
You think she's mean, huh? I wonder what you'd be like after your third class of 40 kids.
Man.
The first day.
They don't want me to be a teacher like that.
Right?
Right.
And you just got 3 after that. You
Right.
got 6 classes.
By third period, you're not getting anything from me.
No. Period.
No.
I go, you think she's mean? A room full of teenagers. That's what's mean.
Man. And I was there. I remember high school. Now you put it in that perspective, I understand a lot more.
Right?
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Can you imagine after lunch? They'd be like, Mr. Merchant, shut up. Go to the principal. How dare you ask me questions? This is the 5th period.
Are you kidding me right now? Get out of here.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
So I don't even and she's on her 27th year. I'm just saying. She's got way more than I got.
Kids are going to complain about me. Like Mr. Merchant just plays videos. He doesn't teach us anything.
Hey, look, let's talk about your show.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't watched it.
That's okay.
But I'm always wanting to watch it. But you're on what? Tell me about it. Tell me what the name of it, what it's about, and where they can find it.
Okay, so the show is called it's a television show called Superficially Deep. It is a soap opera, and it's a teen-based soap opera. The heart of it was like I said, I'm a Gen Xer, 90s kid, and I remember putting myself in the world of Beverly Hills 90210. I was enthralled in that story. I was enthralled, and people argue. We have, fun debates with my friends. There is no Beverly Hills 90210 like show out there now.
Right.
I can't think of his name. Aaron Spelling was a phenomenal producer and creator, and so the show has a little bit of that element to it. However, I've always thought that the stories that I experienced as a youth pastor were so dramatic, it should be on TV. And so I took the stories of some of these stories that I've experienced, and I've taken the lives of 10 teenagers and created a soap opera around it. And it's based around teens and young adults. There's a big major connection to it. And we've shot 6 episodes, and it airs on HPTV, which is my streaming service, Heritage Park TV. It's available on all Roku channels, Roku TVs. If you don't have a Roku TV, we also have a website, HPTV Online, where you can watch all of our content, all of our music videos, podcasts. We have other shows going on right now.
Wait a minute. So I just add channel on my Roku?
Yeah, go to
HPTV.
And we'll be there.
Now I feel really
We'll be there. You'll see all my shows. And then we even have a live stream where we have actually a television channel plays other TV shows and stuff like that. And so
how do you get your own streaming service, dude?
It fell in our lap when we had a deal with a streaming service, and that streaming service deal fell through. And I said out loud, I remember being outside of this door, and I said, you know what? We're going to get our own streaming channel. Forget this crap. I was mad. It was like our 3rd deal fell through. And one of my team members was like, how? I said, I don't know. I'm Rohmon. I'll figure it out. And I went home and I scrolled through, which I don't do a lot, but I was scrolling through IG, and Google listens to you, and it says, start your own streaming channel. And I said, of course I will. Click. And a lot of conversation, a lot of investing. And we launched late October. So end of October will be a year that we've ran this channel.
Nice.
But yeah, we are the television show is called Superficially Deep. It's been running, since October. Is our first show that we put on the streaming channel. And we are in the middle of finishing up season 1. We shot 6 episodes. They're about an hour each. And then COVID happened. Then we had to restructure, had to recast a couple of people. And now we're back to shooting. We're in the middle of shooting. We call it B, season 1B. So, which is the last 6 episodes of season 1. So we are in the middle of shooting, I think 9 or 10, that's where we're at right now.
And you're the one who shoots it, right?
Yep. I write, produce, direct. I'm behind the camera most of the time. editing half the time. The first 6 episodes, I pretty much did everything. And then as things started going on, guys started bringing people around that said, hey, I want to be this. I want to do this for you. And I was like, yeah, take it. And so now we have other people, like, for example, episode 10 is not being directed by me, but a young man by the name of Charlie Battaglia, who's incredible. He's been making videos. I think he commented on the post too. Yeah. And so he's the one that's directing 9. I'm sorry, he's directing 9. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's even helped me rewrite. So there's times where I'll have writer's block.
Of course.
And I had writer's block on this last episode that we're working on. And I trust Charlie because I've been working with him since day 1. And he's been loyal, he's trustworthy, and he's got talent. So I called him and I said, hey, man, I want to see what you would come up with. This is where I want to go with these characters. Why don't you write this couple scenes and see what comes up with it? And he came through. And so God's bringing people in. He's brought in a DP, which is the director of photography, which he gets behind the camera and he says, that light is off. I want this light, put that here. And he does all that stuff. So he's got a tight schedule because he works a full-time job. But when he can show up on set, it's the best thing because I don't have to maneuver the camera all that. He puts everything in. And he just asked me, where you want to shoot? Do you want to shoot 24, 29 PCS? Let's do 29, And so I tell him what the specs I want to work with, and he sets the camera up. And so
nice.
Yeah. But it's been a monster.
It's been, yeah. And here's, we met doing shows.
Mm-hmm.
What's it been? 3 years?
Maybe a little bit longer, I think.
Maybe a little bit longer, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, we immediately were just, it was one of those things, right?
Yeah.
And back then, we were both struggling with our own things.
Yes.
And I know that, life was pretty tough for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was going through one of those moments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I never saw you mad. How about that? I mean, I never, you weren't always the same.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, you were. You're always Rohmon.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I know this is kind of crazy. He knows it, but I called him my beautiful beast.
That's right.
And I don't know what was said or what happened that day. I just remember that was what I thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is my guy right here. And he's always giving back. Always, he's a pastor, an author. Yeah.
Yeah.
You published your book, right?
Yeah, I
what
did.
was it called?
The Hidden Agenda.
The Hidden Agenda.
Yes.
What's that about?
Man, the Hidden Agenda is I talk about thinking for yourself and not letting other elements around you think and create your life for you by putting you in boxes, putting ideas in your head. I challenge a lot of thinking, and I think it's an excellent book for today.
And it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Critical thinking is not necessarily our
It's
strong
the
point.
book is a strong based on critical thinking. In my last 2 chapters, I talked directly to pastors about giving people the chance to be objective and be critical and let them process for themselves and trusting in God. If you believe God wants to put a building, he wants you to move in a new building, stop putting the pressure on the congregates to pay for the building and trust God for the building.
Right? If God told you,
If God told you,
he'll make it happen.
right. You don't have to pressure. I know pastors. I still know pastors to this day that at the offering will look at the envelope, look at what they wrote on the tithe, call them out and say, I know you make more than this.
There's people that do that?
Yes. I've seen it with my own eyes.
In the church?
In the church, Sunday morning, Anthony.
Wow.
Which is stuff like that is the fuel that fires me to do all this other stuff, because I'm tired of seeing people get burned. I'm tired of seeing people get misled. I'm tired of seeing people deceived by well-mannered people, because our pastors are well-meaning.
Yeah.
But they come at things because of maybe they've been hurt. I have a whole youth group in the Inland Empire that still, now they're adults, had to battle with the idea that I was gay because the pastor told them I was gay, because I don't do brick and mortar. I do art. And the whole church believed him. I'm like, how stupid do you have to be to believe that?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's not even, you're not even stupid at that point. It's ignorance.
Yes.
That's what it is.
100%. Yeah.
Because not only do you not know, you chose not to know.
You choose not to know. Which you could have called me and be like, "Are you gay? Bro, you come over to the house right now." I wasn't living my best life at the time. So I could have proved it at the moment. I was like, I can prove it right now. Just come over, but that's what the book is. That's stuff like that charges me. And that's what launched that book, The Hidden Agenda. Available on Amazon.
Where is it?
On Amazon.
On Amazon. Hidden Agenda on Amazon by Rohmon Merchant.
That's right.
R-O-H-M-O-N.
That's right.
Merchant.
Yeah.
M-E-R-C-H-A-N-T.
Yeah.
And the HPV.
HPTV. Heritage Park TV.
Heritage Park TV.
Yep.
So HPTV, right, guys? Check it out. I'm going to go download that now. I have a Roku TV.
Yeah.
And I've just been, anyway, I'm not going to make any excuses. I've been, anyway. So check that out, guys. And listen, all of that on top of the man known around here as the godfather of Christian rap.
That's right.
That's what we call him. Right? So do you have any of your tunes on the TV too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I just released the album this last April.
That I knew about.
Yeah, Dreams, Visions, and Memories. And we released 2 music videos, and they're both on HBTV. Yeah. No Love and My Life.
I've listened to a few of those songs, and they're awesome. You guys, he was doing Christian rap when nobody did Christian rap. I'm not even sure it was. I know it wasn't a thing.
It wasn't a thing. They didn't know where to put us when I started.
Right.
Yeah.
And he opened for some big names, guys.
Yeah.
Missy Elliott, Wu-Tang Clan.
Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep. Yeah.
Those are big names back then. And I'm pretty sure they'd never heard of Christian.
Oh, no.
Anything.
No. I think of all the people I've opened for, I think one artist was like, "Did you say Jesus?" I said Jesus. "You a Christian?" I said, "Yeah." And they were like, "That's cool." And then he offered me a joint. And that was my life, church. And at the time, churches, and that's me. Like when we talk about the name of this podcast is Minding Your Own Business. You got to keep doing your business. You know what I'm saying? You have to do what God called you to do. And God called me to this. And I knew that when the church closed their doors, that God was going to open another one. And churches weren't letting me in because I'm not Lecrae. I'm not Minnie. I'm not Toby Mac, which we worked things out. But me and Toby Mac had beef for a while. all these other people. And then I was like, man, but God wants me to get the word out. And then all of a sudden, people are calling me out. Hey, I have a opening at the Smokeout tour. You want to do the Smokeout tour? And I was like, Christians are not going to like me at the Smokeout tour. But who cares?
That's where you're supposed to be.
That's where I'm supposed to be.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you're not supposed to be there smoking
I'm not supposed to be smoking out, but I'm doing my stuff and people enjoyed it. I remember when I did Missy Elliott, open for Missy Elliott. It was actually July 10th, her birthday. I'll never forget it because I had a good time. I rocked out. And I remember walking to the back, and you normally don't see the artist you're opening for unless you stay in the green room for a long period of time, which you're allowed to. But I'm walking out and I see Missy Elliott, and I looked at her and I said, "Happy birthday," because I knew it was her birthday. And she was like, "I saw your set, man. You got pretty good energy. I love it." And I was like, all right. But I was just like, what would Jesus do? Jesus would rock the mic at the Smokeout tour.
Yeah.
Because he loves people. So
what would Jesus do, man? And let me tell you what he wouldn't go tell the congregation that the youth pastor was gay.
No, he definitely wouldn't.
He wouldn't. He might talk to the youth pastor.
Yeah.
Right?
I was the youth pastor.
Well, that's what I mean.
He talked to me about it, and I said, I'm not gay. And then we went back and forth for months because he said God was telling him I was gay, to the point where I was like, I can't, to the point where it was the day before my wedding. He's telling me I'm gay.
So he's trying to save you or your wife.
I don't know what he was trying to do. And he was telling me, and granted, I showed up at the church as a youth pastor, 2 people in the youth group when I picked up the job. 1 year into the job, we were at 80 kids. So there was growth. And he was convinced. God told him I was gay. So eventually on the night before my wedding, I had to give up the job. I looked him in his face. I said, you know what? I don't think I'm graced to send under you anymore. Because you can't listen to me.
Can't accept it.
Can't accept it. But he had the congregation thinking everybody was gay. He thought SpongeBob was gay, The Color Yellow, Disneyland.
So what he was what he was
He was on a witch hunt.
yeah, and what he was thinking was God telling him was we know who.
Yeah.
There's only 2 teams.
Yeah.
Right? I tell the audience there's 2 teams.
Yeah. And there's a point when you get to a certain level where you don't hear anything. You just hear what you want to hear.
Right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Because God told me. No, but God didn't tell you. So you're listening to the wrong voice.
Yeah.
And I think that it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were to go against, if you were to back that up on the word of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he's wrong.
Yeah.
So therefore he's not following God's word.
Yeah.
Because that's not at all how it would have been handled.
Mm-hmm.
If it first of all, he would have to believe you.
Yeah.
When you told him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Second of all, let's say you're gay, but you're getting, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, let's just say a gay person or somebody who believed they were gay at one point is now getting married. Aren't they doing the right thing?
They're going in the direction.
They're
trying to do something.
They're trying to go in the right direction.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So based on the word
because gay
of
people
God,
get married all the time.
Right.
To heterosexual marriages.
Agreed.
Yes.
But they are at least
trying
to follow the word of God.
Yes.
Regardless of what that means.
Yeah.
And so that should have been anyway. So all I'm saying is there we are right back at what's really wrong with the world, what's really wrong with the country, the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got like guys like that in the pulpit.
Yes. Yeah, and I could tell you stories for days. And I think all that, right, has been what I was talking about earlier. People have different experiences, and that's why they think the way they do, which is important to have Christ, because Christ manages your processing through those experiences. Like, I could be bitter at the church.
Yeah. Really bitter.
Very bitter.
Yeah.
And he was one of many pastors that have failed me. And I could be very bitter. But God's like, I've given my hurt to Christ, and he's managed it to say, what's the lesson that you learn in this? Do you see that other people can be burned like this? Or I remember experiencing one time where I felt God hit me in my heart, was like, you go through this so you can help others who's been through this.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what God, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. I feel like, and there's a lot of people out who want to be called by God, want to be ministers, want to do something great for God. Listen, I don't know who you are. I'm talking to this camera. You can't do it if you get offended easily.
Not preach the word of God.
You can't preach to God. You can't preach the gospel if you get offended. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you can't.
And you can't expect God to bless you with more if you keep getting offended.
Right.
Because if you can't add value to people, you're no good to the ministry.
Right.
So like something that God shared with me, and why I stepped into this arena to do film and TV, because there's so many other projects that we're working on along with the church. He was like, you know what? Democrats and liberals and pro-choicers and homosexuals, guess what, bro? They're not going to come looking for your church. And even if the average church opened the doors, they wouldn't know what to do with them anyway.
Right.
But guess where they will go? They'll go on set.
They'll go on set.
And they all did. And I accepted them. That's all I did. I didn't have conversations about it. When people would come and I would interview everybody, and I would tell them, I want to let you know, this is a faith-based project. You are playing the role of a kid that goes to church. This will be on Christian television. I don't have a problem with anything you do in your life. Do you have a problem with this being faith-based? And it was like, I've heard people say, I'm Christian. And then I've had other people say, oh, well, I'm gay. And I'm like, you're talented. Do you want the gig? And they'll say, it's not going to bother you that I'm gay? It's like, no. And God's brought all these people around me. And guess what? It's turned into, there was one day I laid on my bed in the middle of shooting this stuff, and I said, wow, this turned into a ministry. I thought it was a business. Like I'm now ministering to people that I'm working with, and it's crazy. God's using it. And having conversations that I know that they know they would never had before.
Hallelujah, man.
Mhm.
That's what the world needs today is to
Yeah.
again have conversations with no offense and
Yeah.
no malice and
Yeah.
no ill intention. The problem it's a twofold problem because there's a lot of ill intention,
Yes.
right? And that is easier to get offended by.
Yes.
So if there's ill intention when
Mhm.
somebody starts to speak to you,
hmm
you really got to have Jesus.
Oh man.
I mean, you really need to be there with Jesus. I mean, he's there with you, but are
Yeah.
you there with him?
You got to walk with them. You have to. You know, we live in a world where people don't want to be judged, but will sit there and judge.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned intentions. You know, people, I hear it all the time. I hear people screaming on social media, "You don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know me." And then in the next line, they'll say, "Trump hates black people." Well, you don't know his intentions. You don't know what he knows. You're two different. You've never had a conversation with him. You're just basing it off of the information that you've gotten
From Facebook.
from the news station of your choice.
Yes.
It's listen, I tell people this all the time. Growing up in the hood, there was Crips on this side of the street. You cross Grape, there's Bloods over there. So whatever family member you belong to, you got to stay on that side of the street. And I remember growing up in that, and churches and pastors would say, "Don't fight over colors. Don't fight over that. Don't fight. This is something stupid to fight over." And now it's come full circle. And I see it all the time. Say, man, white people fighting like gangbangers out here. Like they're gonna stick with they're either Republic Bloods or they're Democrats. And like they're fighting over the same colors we fought over.
Right.
And over the same concept. Well, these people for me, them people ain't for me. Like that's crazy. And
It's crazy.
and that's where we're at now. And then you got Fox telling us one thing, CNN tells us the complete opposite.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. And I'm saying like it's obvious we're misinformed.
Yes.
If somebody says that the apple is red and then CNN says the apple is blue and then Fox tells us it's purple, we're being misinformed.
Period. It's the
Period.
same dang apple.
We're kidding. Yeah, it's the same apple. And you just listen, you're like, man, I don't understand that. Because I look at it, I'm like, well, clearly I'm misinformed on both sides.
Clearly.
The truth is somewhere probably in the middle.
Right.
And
That's right. But everybody is you're misinformed.
yeah.
No, you're misinformed. No, we're all misinformed.
We're all
people.
misinformed.
Every stinking one of us.
It's all misinformed. It's everything and listen, working in TV, I can say this now. Everything you see on TV, smoke screen.
Smoke screen.
It's smoke screen. It's a smoke screen. And TV's not even about the show that you're watching. It's about the commercial that played on that show. You know,
Yeah.
I'm learning right now that commercials are everything. I've had people, "Oh, you want to play this commercial for me?" And it doesn't fit the views of HP and what God's called me to do. And I've had to turn away money. And it stinks because no one else is giving me money. Pepsi hasn't brought anything to the table. You know, Target hasn't brought, I got the ad council. That's the only commercials I have is the ad council. And I'm like, all right, yeah, adoption is important. I'll take it, you know.
Right.
And so but it's a smoke screen, you know. And so people just need to be very aware, very objective, and they have to follow God for themselves.
And guys, I know Rohmon, so I know that the book can help point you there.
Yeah.
The show's going to help point you there.
Yeah.
And bro, you got to log in and watch him rap. I'm telling you right now.
You got to you got to listen to the music.
You
there.
got to listen to the music.
I tell people all the time, there's no meeting without the music. There's no HP without the music.
So HPTV,
Yep.
Amazon, for the book
Yes.
called
The Hidden Agenda.
The Hidden Agenda. I mean,
Yeah.
how can I forget that? That's what I think about the entire world right now.
Yeah.
That there's always a hidden agenda.
There's
always a hidden agenda.
There's a hidden agenda.
I don't.
If you find somebody's why, you'll find their agenda.
And there's always a hidden agenda. And here's the reality, people. Everyday Joes like us, we're not going to find it.
No.
It's not there for us.
No.
The guys who are hiding the agenda don't even know that there's actually a hidden agenda to the hidden agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
they don't know that there's an agenda to them being there.
So
Yeah.
how are we supposed to find a hidden? So, and I say that just because, like he says, we got to just be with Jesus.
Yeah.
Get through all of this.
Yeah.
It's that guy. I don't listen. He's a child of God.
Mm-hmm.
He may not be in the family
Yep.
at the time.
He may not be engrafted.
He may not be grafted.
According to the book of Acts, he may not be engrafted.
That's right. But he's still created
Mhm.
a child of God.
And you love and you respect on that person just as much you would do someone you go to church with every Sunday.
Everybody's got that. Well, not everybody, but yeah, most people have that person in their family or that brother or that sister that, has issues or is the black sheep or they leave or they get kicked out or because of their actions, they get in trouble with the family. That doesn't mean they're not your brother.
Mm-hmm.
It just means they ain't living with you right now.
Yeah. There's a parable. I know we were talking forever, but there's a parable. I believe it's in Matthew. Please forgive me if I get it wrong. But Jesus makes this powerful, powerful parable about the man who planted wheat. And his workers and him went to sleep. And the enemy came and planted weeds.
Yeah.
And the weeds started to grow. And when they woke up, they noticed that there was wheat and weeds growing at the same time. And the worker said to the owner, "We'll go through the field and we'll pull out all the weeds." And the owner says, "Don't, because in the process you'll pull wheat because they're too alike. When the harvest comes, the reaper will take down everybody and the reaper will separate." I think that's such the power, and it's a time like this that we need to hear that parable. Like people are on Facebook trying to pull out weeds and have no idea they're pulling out God's call. Like God, there's people that God's been working on for a long time, and because of our ignorance, we're pulling up wheat, thinking it's a weed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking this as a person that believes that God called me to be a wheat and was ripped out because people thought I was no good.
And you know what? And I, now that you say that, I believed I was a weed.
Yeah.
And God had to show me, no, there's wheat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he told him, don't pull out anything. Right. And since I read that parable, and that was years ago, I will not judge you.
Yeah. It's so funny that judging, if somebody says you're being judgmental, they're being judgmental, aren't they?
Yeah. You gotta be judgmental to call out judgmental. Yeah.
You're never.
Yeah. That's why Judge Judy's so good at what she does, because she understands who she is.
Right.
She knows she's a judge.
Right. So even telling somebody they're being judgmental is judgmental. I'm just saying. Yeah. Anyway, we got to wrap it up. This
is what happens when friends talk.
And this is what happens here this is what Men of Impact's about, friends talking.
Mm-hmm.
I've told many people, I've told the audience a lot of times, listen, guys, it's an hour of therapy for me.
Yeah.
A free therapy. And I usually try and get smarter guys because that's the deal. Because I am willing to talk and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And go from there. But hey, so thanks, Rohmon, for coming on.
Thank you.
You guys look him up, all those places.
Yes.
Okay,
everywhere.
Check it out.
We are everywhere.
He's everywhere. Listen, you want a commercial, pay the man.
If you want a commercial or you have a video project that you want to work on, yeah, let's go.
Give him a call. And
or if your kid wants to be a rapper and doesn't know where to start,
there you go.
We actually have artist slots open right now.
There you go. Mm-hmm. And if you do you hear that? If you want to be a rapper, you don't know where to go.
Or even a rock star, even if you have a rock band, we have slots.
Slots.
We have artist slots that we need to fill by the end of the year.
There you go, guys. So look him up. If you can't, I don't know how you couldn't find him. ROHMON.
There's only 2 Rohmons in the world. I've checked it.
He's also on my friends list. You have my email address, menofimpact@gmail.com. Look us up, Men of Impact, on Facebook, IMPAKT. We also Instagram at Men of Impact, IMPAKT. And we're on YouTube. This is all on YouTube. There's other guys out there. So subscribe, like, alerts, and comment, please. All of those things. I know it's not a lot of work, guys. But what happens, the more of those that happen, the more people this gets in front of. And I just hope that the content is something. It's something. Listen, there's not a lot of men shows out there for men. There's just not, and especially not for men to talk.
Yeah.
So You have a great week. Thank you so much, Rohmon.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again next week. And remember, I love you, but Jesus loves you infinitely more.
Yeah.